all of the legacies of apartheid are still very much alive in the everyday existence. There's a growing black middle class that is more integrated, but that's a very tiny group of people in South Africa at the moment. So for the most part, if you are white, you are associated with power and privilege, and if you are black, you are associated with poverty or disadvantage of some form or the other. The concept of non-racialism was developed in the anti-apartheid movement as a response to the state enforcing differences on South Africans to categorize everybody racially. But I am also arguing that perhaps non-racialism as an aspiration might mean that we need a different account of difference in South Africa. Non-racialism does not allow us to deal with the inheritance of difference because we've rejected difference altogether because we wanted to reject apartheid. So perhaps non-racialism will be more difficult to achieve if we don't have a concept of difference that can actually work in the post-apartheid, so that can take difference into account. There is a long history in some ways to controlling the movement of people under apartheid, which is to say many black South Africans themselves were defined as foreigners by the apartheid government. You were not a citizen of South Africa, you were a citizen of a Bantustan, and you had to have a pass to live in the city. And when in 1994 we created equal citizenship, we gave the political right to black South Africans to live in the city. But I think there might be something still over the insecurity of living in the city that is there in the society, so that at the moment that black South Africans have achieved the right to be in the city, they are also dealing with people who now are moving in from elsewhere who they feel threatened by. And in a certain sense, their right to live in the city they feel is now being threatened or challenged by other people who have come into mostly where the violence has happened in poor areas and with very high unemployment, informal settlements and so on. But 2 weeks ago there was a huge uprising of violence against people from outside a community, but they were from within. They were South Africans, but they come from the Eastern Cape and form an informal settlement. And the local residents who had been there longer said, go back home, you don't belong here. The very same discourse used against foreign nationals, So that there's something about this, the insecurity of being in the urban space, the threat of foreigners, the threat of other people who threaten our livelihoods, which the poor are articulating. And again, it's a question of how those who have power respond to this in a certain kind of way. Not to blame the poor in a certain way, criminalize the poor even further because they are poor.